I made it clear to the President of the European Council that Slovakia had no business at such war meetings because, as a representative of Slovakia, I have consistently presented a different view of the war at the European Councils and have put peace and an immediate halt to the killing of each other's Slavs in Ukraine at the forefront of my mind. Finally, my attitudes were made well felt by many in the European Union in 2022-2023, when the then Slovak government was doing all sorts of shit to us in opposition. The European Union did not even have to. After all, why should she defend an opposition leader who had a different view on the war in Ukraine or on migration, as was required? That is right, Madam President of the European Commission. The informal meetings of the Friends of the War in Paris are the result of the completely unnecessary nervousness into which the European Union is falling by its own doing. We get nervous when the U.S. Vice President tells us the truth in Munich. We are nervous when the United States and Russia do not call us to the negotiating table for peace in Ukraine. We should stop crying. We should convene a proper summit of all the member states of the European Union and pour ourselves some clear wine. With the exception of Slovakia and Hungary, the European Union supported the war in Ukraine for 3 years. It has not listened to our objections that the strategy of exploiting the war in Ukraine to weaken Russia is not working. They did not listen to the fact that a conventional war over Russia cannot be won. To arguments that tens of thousands of Russians and Ukrainians are dying needlessly, we were told that Ukraine can only negotiate peace if it is strong enough to do so. Pardon my candor, but peace has been negotiated at a time when Ukraine could not be weaker, and the West's impulse to use the war in Ukraine to weaken Russia economically and politically will lead to a very different outcome for Ukraine than it might have imagined a year or two ago. For 3 years the West supported the war. He argued that there was still no time even for a ceasefire. And now that the new US president is bringing new peace winds, Europe is trying to put itself in the position of peacemakers and is sticking its foot in the door that it wants, at least for now. The leaders of the United States and Russia shut down to have a lull in the negotiations. Who is supposed to believe the sincerity of European countries that they want to sit at the negotiating table and sincerely negotiate peace? After all, the word was almost banned in the European Union for 3 years. Europe should take responsibility for the last 3 years and create space for the United States and Russia to negotiate. I agree that the outcome of the negotiations between the United States and Russia may be something that does not correspond to a just peace for Ukraine, which is almost certain to happen, particularly because of the West's approach to the war. But if it will be peace and end the needless killing, the European Union should approach such an agreement constructively. Not to attack it, but to try to improve it for the benefit of Ukraine, with Ukraine's full participation.